Fuck. Oh no, it's the other way around, isn't it? Hello everyone and welcome to Henry Wheeler's Movie Reviews, where today we're taking a look at the top 50 films of 2020. Now there's quite a few releases here which for other countries and territories will likely be 2019 films, but they're released in the UK in 2020, so stuff you. I'm going to include them in this list. So before we go any further, I want to highlight a few films which aren't featured in the list, but I did really enjoy. So, I mean, it's not really definitive or anything. I mean, it's not definitive anyway, it's my opinion, but... So, quick disclaimer before we go ahead. There were many films that I hadn't seen before I made this video that I have now seen, so as a result, I will be putting in some interjections as to the new films that crept in the list. So, well, anyway, without any further ado, I'll get on with this. So, at number 50, we have The Good Girls. At number 49, we have Emma. Not that one. At number 48, we have Martin Aiden. At number 47, we have The Wild Goose Lake. At number 46, we have Baby Teeth. At number 45, we have A White, White Day. At number 44, we have Possessor. At number 43, we have Penguin Highway. Penguin Highway. At number 42, we have Jojo Rabbit. At number 41 is Patrick. At number 40, we have The Good Intentions. At number 39, we have Queen and Slim. At number 38 is County Lines. At number 37, appropriately, 37 Seconds. And at number 36 is Song Without a Name. At number 35, we have The Gay Soldier Romance, Muffy. And at number 34 is Happy Old Year. At number 33, we have a film that really surprised me, The Book of Sun, the second of two Saudi films in this list, which is this really great coming-of-age story about filmmaking that reminded me quite a lot of Son of Rambo. It's really great fun. At number 32, we have Buñuel and the Labyrinth of the Turtles, which is about Louis Buñuel making a short film in Las Urdes, I think. It's a terrific animation, really beautiful. It was a real surprise of the year for me. And at number 31, we have the really, just heartbreaking relic about dementia and what it does to those around you. It's truly, it's a bleak watch. At number 30, we have System Crasher. Helen Zengel, I believe her name is. She's terrific in it, and she's got a huge career ahead of her. So number 29 is The Five Bloods, which I liked a lot more than other people. I didn't think it was as good as Black Klansman, which I thought was one of the best films that year, but I really thought it was excellent. So number 28, we've got Alice, which curiously is a British production, well, co-produced with two other countries, with an Australian director, and the entire film is in French. It's a really great comment on society's treatment of women as sex workers. By contrast, how men who use sex work are treated. It's a really empowering film, and I really wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. And number 27 is a real surprise for me because it didn't get good reviews, but I thought it was excellent. It's Little Joe. It's about a flower that is controlling people's minds. Or is it? I thought it was really Kubrickian, and I love the style, I love the Japanese inflected score. It was just excellent. So number 26 we have... fuck you. At number 26 we have Adam, the Moroccan film about sisterhood and women sticking together. It's a really powerful watch, and also just showcases how much great cinema there is coming out of North Africa at the moment. At number 25, we've got the first in Steve McQueen's Small Axe series, Mangrove, which was a much better court drama than The Trial of Chicago 7, which I did like, but I felt this executed it much better. It was just a really satisfying watch, seeing the police get their pants pulled down like they did. It's... And number 24 is Tenet. This was the only film I saw in the cinema in 2020. When I saw it, it was obviously quite difficult to watch because the sound mixing issues, but I did follow everything. There was a point halfway where I had a Joey moment where I was like, and I understood what was happening, and it was essentially the whole film was going backwards, and we were revisiting these old scenes. Although I watched it with my dad, and he didn't like it at all because he thought that he was going mad watching it, and then he realised, oh, it's going backwards. Well, if you told me that, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I don't think it's one of Christopher Nolan's best films. I think he's got much better films in his filmography, but I think it's excellent. I can't wait to see what he does next. So number 23, I said the best court drama. This is the best legal drama in general. Clemency, the opening scene of this just broke me. It's... I'm not going to go into it to spoil it for you, but it sets the tone for the rest of the film. It's about a man who is trying to gain clemency from his death row sentence for a crime that they've not committed. It's a tough watch. But Alfred Woodard is just excellent in it, and why they didn't get any awards contention for this is astounding to me, because it's one of the best performances of the year. I'm out now. Yeah. Number 22 is 1917. I do wonder whether it is up here just purely because of the gimmick of the fact that it looks like it's shot in one take. No, I think it's a great war film. The performances are really good. George Mackay has just been great for so long. He was really good in that Justin Kurzel film recently. I forget the name. But he's a fine actor. Number 21, we've got Calm Forces, a wonderful Irish-British co-production about gangsters in the west of Ireland, and it's a really visceral watch. There's a tremendous score by Blank Mass. I've been a fan of his for a while, but it's truly brilliant, and it's just such a well-made film, and the acting is just excellent. Cosmo Jarvis as Arm, his West Coast Irish accent is no perfect. It's scary how good it is. So number 20, we've got Never Rarely, Sometimes Always. Really powerful drama about a 17-year-old girl trying to get an abortion, but she can't get one without parental consent. As a result, they have to go to New York in order to get one. It's a formidable piece of work. Having a former partner who did a DIY abortion, the scene where they were punching their stomach really... I had to stop the film because it affected me greatly. I'm glad that I finished it because it's a excellent film. Even more so, it's astonishing that it's by Eliza Hittman, who made It Felt Like Love, one of the worst films I've seen. It's terrible. Although I haven't seen many bad films up until this year, so it'll probably be eclipsed by many, many others. But yeah, truly shit. So number 19, we have the second in the Small Axe series from Steve McQueen, which is Lovers Rock. Just documenting a party in an Afro-Caribbean community. It's really, really, really wonderful, and it really puts you in that place. It makes you feel like you're there. I loved it. So number 18, we've got Uncut Gems. Adam Sandler turns up. He does this every 10 years or so. He's just excellent as this really irritating and stressful jeweler who is a gambling addict, and it's a very anxiety-driven watch that has you with the nails in the seat of your chair. Oh, I've never been so stressed watching a film before in my life. But it's great. It's really great. So number 17, we got His House, which was a really great subversion of the typical haunted house narrative, whereby they can't leave. There's a reason why they're not leaving. They're refugees who come to the UK, and if they leave the house, they'll be deported. I was really blown away by this. It was one of my favourite horror films of the year, and given the amount of original content Netflix puts out, which is utter rubbish, this was a huge breath of fresh air. I really loved it. So number 16 is Saint Francis, which is another film about abortion. Although this time it goes through a more humorous territory about a woman who's just had an abortion after a one-night stand, and then becomes a nanny for a small girl who is away on their summer break from school. It's a really heartwarming film that I loved. It reminded me a little bit of Juno, not to the same extent, but it has the same kind of wisecracking dialogue. It's very well written by Kelly O'Sullivan, the star in the film. Give it a go if you've not seen it. And number 15, Saint Maud. Very different film, which is about a newfound Roman Catholic care worker who is obsessed with saving the person for whom they care. And they go to extraordinary extremes to do so. I didn't actually see this in the cinema because I live in Portugal and it wasn't showing in Portugal. So I had to watch a terrible cam rip. It doesn't even have the ending to the film. I do hope that in February I get to see it on VOD and see it in full, because I reckon it probably would jump up the list if that were the case. But I haven't, so I don't know. So number 14, we have the gorgeous Vitalina Varela, about a woman from Cape Verde who is going over to visit her husband who emigrated to Portugal. Upon arrival, she's informed that he's dead and his funeral has already happened, or it's going to happen. I can't remember. But when she arrives, there's a bit of animosity towards her because all these people didn't know her, and she's saying, well, he was my husband, so get lost. And it's really interesting. Hardly any of this film is filmed in daylight. It's always filmed at night or in dark rooms, and every frame of this film looks like a painting. It's beautiful. I'm surprised that it doesn't feature on more people's lists of the best of the year, because it really floored me. So number 13, we've got Beanpole. The colour palettes of this, there's a lot of green. They like green. I don't know why green is so present in the film, but it is. It is about these two women who fought in World War II together, and it shows a post-war Stalingrad. This is a bleak film. I'm not going to give much away. There's a lot of toxic relationships in this. It's also, to a degree, an LGBT film. But it's astonishing. The director is only, I think, 29 or 30, something like that. And he's mature enough to make a film of this magnitude. It's impressive. So number 12, we've got Wolfwalkers. My favourite Irish film of the year, although it's a co-production with so many countries, which makes sense if, it's a small country that can't generate a lot of funds, you need lots of funding from other sources. I mean, it's a great parable about colonialism and displacement of indigenous people. It really reminded me of Princess Mononoke in that way, although that's a different film in regards to its themes, because that's more about like environmentalism rather than anything else. But they would make a good double bill, I think. And also the voice cast is great, the animation is fantastic. I love Cartoon Saloon's work, and Tom Moore, I really love Song of the Sea and The Breadwinner. They're just producing really excellent films, and Tom Moore is the Irish Miyazaki, he just is. So, number 11, we have Rocks, which features a girl whose mum just takes off and leaves one day and has to take care of her younger brother. It's a really beautiful film. All of the actors in it are excellent. The lead actor who plays Rocks, she's wonderful. And it's funny as well. There's moments of humour in it. It's my second favourite British film of the year. And if you've not seen it yet, you really need to. So number 10, we have And Then We Danced, which was recommended to me by a friend from Russia who said, look, there's a Georgian film about gay romance coming out with some ballet dancers. Give it a watch. So I was like, oh, okay. I don't think it is ballet, I think traditional Georgian dance. It really taps into the dangers of being a gay person in places like Georgia. It also has excellent use of music. The scene with Honey by Robin is gorgeous. It's just such a brilliantly made film, and that final scene with the last dance, it's amazing. The whole thing is incredible. So at number 9, we've got Corpus Christi, which is the only Polish film on the list. It's interesting because Jan Kamash, I don't know, that's how you pronounce his name, but sorry. He also did another film this year called The Hater, which was really interesting. Although it doesn't get anywhere near my list. This is a great story of an ex-convict who pretends to be a local priest. But it's a good satire on the Catholic Church, and I loved it. It's also very dark. It's a very dark film. To a certain extent, you can kind of put it in as a crime film, I guess. But yeah, it's excellent. So number 8 is Lynn and Lucy, or Lynn plus Lucy, is it stylized, which is about these two childhood friends who grow up together, and one of them finally appears to be getting their life together. They just had a child, and things seem to be rosy. But then things start to go awry when there's a really horrible incident that happens that changes their relationship quite a bit. I thought it made a great point about just how quick society can turn and how mob mentality can overtake people's emotions. And just how backstabbing people can be. You just can't trust people, and it's sad, but that's life, I guess. In that way, it's a very bleak watch. It's really amazing that Roxanne Scrimshaw, who plays Lynn, this is her feature debut. She's never acted before, and she's excellent in it. So give this a watch. If you like good kitchen sink realism, I love that shit. So yeah. So number 7, we have Bacurau, which is a excellent political satire from Brazil. I just love this. It uses elements of the Western genre in it. It says a lot about corruption in Brazilian politics. If you're not au fait with Brazilian politics, then some of it may go over your head. There was a couple of people who were like, I could see that there was some kind of subtext in here, but I didn't really get it. But if you educate yourself a little bit, I mean, you don't need to do a lot of digging really, then a lot of that makes sense, and it's a kick-ass film. It won the Grand Prix at Cannes, and it's no surprise really because it's an exceptional piece of work. So number 6, this is a relatively recent entry because I watched this on Christmas Day. It's Soul. I really love the depiction of the afterlife, or the before life, I guess, as well in this. It had lots of influence, obviously, from Matter of Life and Death, for instance, which is a real favourite of mine. I loved the animation. I also loved the message that, your spark isn't what you're made to do in terms of a specific profession or whatever, but it's just a general, feeling of just something that makes you content and in life, and it could just be something that revolves around a particular attribute, and it's a really heartwarming and wonderfully animated film. There's a terrific voice cast as well. I thought it was great. So number 5, we have a film which I've never seen on any list for the best of 2020, which is really baffling to me. It's Papicha, which is essentially a story of a group of students in, I believe, Algiers. It's in Algeria anyway, during the civil war there. And it's just a great statement on the patriarchy and just how toxic religious fundamentalism is. Also, such as Adam, it shows sisterhood and women coming together in times of adversity. I loved it to pieces, and it's a crying shame that it's not as recognised as it should be. So if you get a chance to watch it, please do, because it really needs to get the biggest audience possible. So number 4, we've got Les Miserables. Not that one. This takes the title from the Victor Hugo novel. It's not the same story, and it essentially involves a group of police officers who are working an area on the outskirts of Paris, and it's a day in the life of their work, and things go south very fast, and it's a really good statement on police brutality and the treatment of black people by police. There's also one scene in it which had my jaw dropped. It was horrifying. And I don't know how they shot it. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's really, really scary. I just thought it was masterfully acted. A lot of people said that it was maybe a bit too long. I kind of disagree to a certain extent. but I see why they needed to have that denouement at the end and not just have it just be the one full day. But yeah, I love this. I think it's a really important film, culturally, politically, and it needs to be seen by as many people as possible. So number 3 is The Lighthouse. This is a great take on masculinity. And there's so much homoeroticism in this film. You're kind of wondering if the camera pans away that they might have a little smooch at some point. But Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson are just excellent in this. It's wonderfully shot. It's got this great, I don't think it's entirely Academy ratio, but it looks excellent. There's just this real creeping dread that runs throughout it that is very insidious. It never really comes to the forefront. The ending is, I don't really know how to explain it. It's a very odd film, but it's incredible. Really brilliant. So number 2, Celine Sciamma does it again with Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I love her work. I thought Tomboy, Water Lilies, and especially Girlhood were excellent films. This is her first attempt to do a period drama with dresses and castles and shit like that. And it's essentially about this painter who is sent to an island in Normandy to paint this woman who's going to marry Italian royalty, and she needs a portrait painted. But she refuses to have a portrait, so she asks her to come over and pretend to be a assistant, or I can't remember what she's supposed to be. But either way, and just track her and paint her from memory. But as the two get close to each other, they realise that, they quite like each other, and it's a beautiful romance. It's beautifully shot. The use of colour is exquisite. It's one of the best films of the last 10 years. Well, The Lighthouse is as well. But I genuinely think it's one of the best films made this century. It's exceptionally good. And that final shot is really excellent. I'm really excited to see where Celine Sciamma goes next. So, number 1. What else could it be? It is Parasite. There's not really much to talk about here because it should be analysed to death. I love the social satire in it. The ambiguity as to who the parasite is, whether it's the Kims who are taking advantage and leeching off the Park family, or whether it's the Park family who are essentially using the lower class for their own gain to do the work that they don't want to do. It was a really interesting film, and it's so perfectly constructed. The twist, which comes pretty much right in the middle, is so unexpected and just so marvellously, meticulously put together. It runs like a Swiss watch. It's so well crafted. I just absolutely adored it, and it's great that it won Best Picture Oscar, and Bong Joon-ho got the Best Director nod as well. Well, not nod, he won the award, for fuck's sake. I really hope that this is a watershed moment where we have more cinema which is not in English being represented. Obviously, Roma kind of paved the way for that, but I think Parasite has really broken that barrier. And I really hope that the floodgates come open and we see more cinema that's not in English being represented in award ceremonies. So, that's all I have to say about that. I'm glad this is finally over. I've watched so many films this year. I'm glad that I can now breathe a sigh of relief and I can get to watching films at a normal pace, because I started watching the films of the year, the release schedule in September or something, so it's been hectic. But that's everything. Just before I go, 2020 was a year with many surprises, whether they be cinematic or otherwise. With that in mind, it was slightly astonishing just how many non-US films were in this list, given that when I grew up, I would always be checking out the Empire's top 50 films of the year list, and it was almost exclusively full of US releases, and a lot of them just weren't that great. There were films that were middling and were like, yeah, but there was a good amount that weren't particularly astonishing. And I just assumed that that's how it was. I assumed that there was just not many great films released each year, and I was very wrong. It just turns out that they
clearly didn't see enough films. This has been a really great journey for me, and 35 countries are represented in this list. I did count. And that covers all the continents. Well, except Antarctica, but who's counting that? To add on to that, also the fact that 18 of the directors are women. That's certainly improved in the last few years. That accounts for 36% of the total list of directors in the list. And I hope in the next few years that percentage will be closer to 50%. So that's everything I wanted to say.
I will shortly be releasing my worst of the year, so look forward to that. Anyway, have a good day, enjoy your year, and stay safe.